So my name is Asma Radwan. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm logging on from Egypt.
My name is Muskan. I'm logging in from India, and my pronunciations are she and her.
Lian. My pronouns are she and her. I am logging in from Canada.
I'm Luciano. I go by Lu, and I live in Argentina.
Everybody. My name is Amekachima. I use he, him pronouns. I'm logging in from Maryland.
My name is Olga. I'm from Belarus, which is a country in Eastern Europe, between Ukraine and Russia.
My name is Kaan, and I'm joining from Turkey, Ankara.
I'm Joel Luna, logging in from the Philippines. My pronouns are he, him.
My name's Abby. I am logging in from New Zealand. My pronouns are she and her.
Hello, my name is Michelle, and my preferred pronouns are she and her, and I'm logging in from South Korea.
How has the peer group supported you? And here I can say that the support that I've got from the group was immense.
I joined SWP, I guess, in 2020 or 2019. So happy to be here for such a long time.
The reason why I decided to join after reading about SWP was that when I was in college, I also experienced psychotic symptoms, and it was one of the hardest things I had to go through. So I really wanted to help other people who are going through the same thing today.
One of the most important jobs students with psychosis have been doing since the beginning is visibility, because it was actually what was attractive for me to join, because particularly with psychosis, there's so much idea of hiding this, and you cannot talk about this, and this doesn't happen to anyone. Like, there's an idea about stigma about psychosis, psychotic and schizophrenic people, that I have brought with the idea that this doesn't exist, this shouldn't exist, and and that it shouldn't happen to me, even if it did. So visibility has been such an important factor in spreading awareness of psychosis, particularly. So for me, that's like one great way to tell other people living with psychosis that this happens, and if it's happening to you, there are a lot of other people, and there's a community that will welcome you. And you don't have to live hiding this situation or whatever illness you have. So I love this about student psychosis from the beginning.
I joined our organization because I was longing for information about what was happening to me these times, and I was just Googling like some information about schizophrenia, psychosis, because I don't know, I was thinking that I'm gonna have like, I'm gonna develop acute psychosis, and I saw SWP in Google and decided to join and to connect with people and maybe to share my experience. And
I joined Student with Psychosis a few years ago, kind of in the middle of my diagnostic journey, and it's really been so helpful to me to have the community of people who understand and aren't going to judge me, and welcome me for all the different parts that, or different reasons people can experience these symptoms. And yeah, it's just been so beneficial.
So for people who don't know me, I actually grew up in Canada, so I was trying to find a meaningful community that I could talk to with people in English. And that was a big factor for me because I couldn't really speak my native language as well as English. And I also have psychosis, so I wanted to talk to people about psychosis as well. I was involved in the community for a few years, and then I got involved as an executive board member for about a few years. Then I resigned due to health issues, and it has been great every moment when I was involved with students with psychosis. It's such a wonderful community, and if you are a person who are just diagnosed with psychosis, or if you have suffered from psychosis but couldn't find a meaningful community, I suggest that you come to students with psychosis and find new meaningful people that you could relate to.
My first exposure to students with psychosis was Cecilia's TED Talk. I am not a monster on YouTube. If you guys haven't checked it out, you should. That's how I found out about the organization, and the reason why I decided to join after reading about SWP was that when I was in college, I also experienced psychotic symptoms, and it was one of the hardest things I had to go through. So I really wanted to help other people who are going through the same thing today. Thank you.
We can try to be more in sight with social media, with news, with posters and such, for that those who live with psychosis should be aware of there being communities. If they don't know there are communities, then they cannot reach communities. So we can try to be more in sight.
I want to find connections with someone who understands my condition, and it's hard because, um, like, it's really hard to find the community which is understanding and which is accepting and stuff.
Super important to be able to relate to people, right? And to feel like you're not alone. And when you think about it, I know there's a bunch of different disorders out there that can involve psychosis, but I'm for right now just going to focus on schizophrenia because that's my diagnosis. But when you think about it, schizophrenia is known to affect 1% of the population. And that really seems like a very small number. And it's very easy to feel alone and very isolated. But when you kind of put things into perspective, 1% of the population is a pretty hefty chunk of people. Our population is huge. So when you think about actually like how much 1% is, tons of people worldwide are affected by schizophrenia. And it's so important to be able to feel that connection and know that you're not the only one experiencing what you're experiencing.
Talk a little bit about for me, my diagnosis is slightly different. I have a diagnosis of autism with sensory experiences. And I think that SWP is so important to and so welcoming of all the different types of reasons people might experience things that other people don't, or and it's really a family type of situation, which is really good. And it's a safe community. You're like logging into a safe community of people who understand, which is really awesome.
I think giving the right to people with psychosis or people who are diagnosed by schizophrenia to open up or not to open up about their diagnosis uh, is a key step here. So along with including laws that guarantee the safety of those who speak up about their diagnosis.
If someone's empowered enough to say, I have psychosis, I would say support them and give them some leverage, because it's not easy to open up about. That's why we need an extra supporter in our lives.
At that time, nobody understood me, what I was suffering from, and I needed anybody to hear me. So, um, so SWB was a good idea for me to feel heard, but at the same time, let's face the fact that, well, not everyone will accept uh, me saying that I am diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia or with schizoaffective disorder, depressive type. You know, some doctors diagnose me with this and some doctors diagnose me with that. But I think it's a good idea as a start for me, and it can be modulated in a way uh, that that could be treatment or treatment uh, focused oriented or treatment oriented uh, group, and it can have like other levels in it. I mean, it can start with uh, with people supporting you, and then we can then try to qualify you to be um, not less than the other people in the world. I mean, to be able to prove yourself in the workplace, in your university, in amongst your family. I mean, being heard in your family is so important, and I think it's a good way to be focused on in the future. I mean, to start, I think we need to move in all directions known for us. Uh, so targeting the families and friends and also the students, but to keep their privacy, and also in the different institutions, they all complete each other and we need all of them.
So I got involved with the Schizophrenia Society of Alberta. I live in Alberta, Canada. When I was diagnosed, well, a couple of years after I was diagnosed, and I loved it so much there. I'm still involved with them today, and I loved it so much that I wanted more. I mean, I loved the SSA, the Schizophrenia Society of Alberta, but it's just within Alberta, right? And I was looking for something international. And lo and behold, Students with Psychosis, what's that outlet for me?
I was in a search for community where I can talk to peers. I was looking for help and I searched for communities on the web. Then I found Students with Psychosis on a website. I don't remember which website. I contacted and I'm happy to be here.
Argentina, but like I live in a very small province and city, like northwest. It's very small. Like it is a city, but like people in Buenos Aires usually believe we live in this country surrounded by mountains and everything. There's this misconception. So it is kind of an open mind idea, but at the same time, it's very conservative. And basically, schizophrenia, psychosis, even like bipolar disorder, they still have this very strong stigma connotation that like they have this stereotype of people living with those conditions. And you usually get the typical sayings that you don't look psychotic, or like, I don't know, they say it's probably just anxiety, like there's this idea that you cannot have psychosis, schizophrenia, or bipolar, and then also be working or be studying or having some sort of social life, right? Also, like it usually reaches a point where even psychiatrists or therapists, they actually tell you, advise you not to disclose the psychosis diagnosis, and also just they advise you to just leave it at like anxiety and mild depression, whether at school or at work, since it could, they believe, and I think they are right, it could really affect your like development in those places. Also, particularly if you're like studying at college or working in a place where you have to deal with people, or like you are a teacher or something like that, there's this idea that you shouldn't be doing this type of work if you are psychotic or disabled. But also, what I've seen is that psychosis, schizophrenia, and bipolar, they're usually very linked to someone who has like a complete disconnection from reality. Hence, they will never like function. And also, there's a big connection with violence. I've heard teachers said that if a student is very, very violent, surely this person is schizophrenic or bipolar, and that's why they are violent, and that's why they have to receive education at home, or they should have these disability services instead of applying for jobs. So that is something that actually is still very strong here, to the point that I barely know other people with psychosis, uh, because it's very difficult to talk about it, even in some more open-minded spaces. It's very easy to talk about anxiety or depression or panic attacks. However, psychosis or schizophrenia is never really brought to the table. So that's very difficult. But I know that there are a lot of people dealing with this type of barriers still. So I wouldn't say it's extremely difficult, because it's not. But there's an idea that you shouldn't disclose psychosis or schizophrenia diagnosis.
In my place in the world, I'm joining from the capital city of Turkey, Ankara, and the healthcare system is great and it's free. It's helping me really good. But the thing is, in Turkey, almost everyone has heard about the word schizophrenia, but no one knows. Like most of the people don't know what it means, and they never heard about the word psychosis. And the problem is, many criminals of like violence crimes, are portrayed as schizophrenic in the news and in the media, and it creates a huge stigma, and that stigma is hard to break.
So stigma is everywhere. I grew up in Canada, and stigma was there as well. Stigma is here in Korea, although it's just much stronger. But I became accustomed to stigma due to the news and media, and I had a really low self-esteem. But when I went into the hospital in Korea, I realized that people really want to help. And my nurses, even though I had some really embarrassing symptoms, uh, they wanted to help. And I just was so grateful that they wanted just to take care of me and to help me get back into society as soon as possible, with care and support. And I was able to return to society after I graduated from this hospital program, and I was able to work again, which was a wonderful thing. So if you are lost, if you feel lost, don't ever feel that way, because there are people who want to help. There are people who want to reach out to you and take care of you. So don't ever lose hope.
Basically, in my family also, we didn't knew the term schizophrenia till it hit me hard, and it was like nobody knew, and the family's reaction was like, "You have become a monster altogether. We cannot like handle you." So that was the thing, and with medication it improved, but there is a lot of lack of awareness in our society regarding schizophrenia and other mental health issues. So the awareness is the key where we can tap on, and we can have like people know what exactly is a schizophrenia and treat people more um kindly in a decent manner to be.
And I would not recommend to disclose psychosis diagnosis in my country, Belarus, because even in mental health institutions, the treatment is like you are garbage, honestly. And I was in an acute department of a hospital, and it was like not a good experience.
Paranoid schizophrenia diagnosis. I got in my family. I got uh, being made fun of sometimes, and sometimes I was uh, getting hit for not being able to leave the bed, and I was being uh, obligated to go to my the faculty of dentistry, or uh, I will be facing uh, the punishment of being married and doing all the house uh, work every day and all the time. So I needed to open up about my schizophrenia, and I needed to feel heard, although that made me uh, lose many things. So whenever I got to apply to a job, I didn't get accepted except in Nusaima, which is a free learning space to teach kids. And I am very appreciating for Sarah, uh, the co-founder or the founder of Nusaima. But then we need to speak also about how to make the place more empowering to people with schizophrenia or with psychosis. And I think it's a good start in the educational system where we can provide accommodations. And how will that work in the favor of the students and in the favor of the society? I think when a student opens up about his schizophrenia or about his diagnosis to the doctor, they need to also communicate with the educational uh, institution, and then the educational institution need to make, for me it's just a point of view, to make a trial and a qualification period for the student, for every student with a mental diagnosis, so that along with having maybe a year of school if they needed that, and maybe more times in exams, but the most important thing is to make the decision shared with the student and his doctor and his psychiatrist, along with the psychologist or the therapist, and also his family, so that they can, or the student can have a trial period where he or she know their abilities and how to interact in a way that is or that can fit in the society, so that maybe he or she can take an exam in a longer time, but then after or with the qualification, they can also take their exam in the exact time as the other students. And I think they can do that, and that's what we should focus on, because people with schizophrenia need to feel that they are no more and no less than everyone else.
Hi, I'm from the Philippines, so the stigma here is still very strong. When I discovered I had schizophrenia and I told people about it, it wasn't, they didn't react the way I hoped they would. Like, my friends were miseducated. They thought, a good number of them thought it was related to split personality or dissociative identity disorder, which it's not. And my family reacted in different ways. Some of them were in denial, and even my mental health provider told me to stay low and lie low, basically, and hide my identity as a person with lived experience. But the contrast, I think the important thing to do is to show people that schizophrenia is, um, it's okay to have schizophrenia, and that's why the advocacy work of SWP is very important, because it's showing people that uh, people with schizophrenia are normal people that can that are able to do things. And I think that's important because it paves the way for people that are the people in the future that may have schizophrenia. It shows them that it's okay to have schizophrenia. So I think SWP is important in that it connects those that know what to do when it comes to schizophrenia, like those that are advanced in their knowledge, and it connects those that are not advanced in their knowledge yet or how to handle schizophrenia. And yeah, I think that divide has to be gone. That's it. Thank you.
So when it comes to psychosis or living with a condition, I think the hospital setting or hospital care is highly emphasized, because usually when we open up about having psychosis, it's usually immediately going to the hospital or being told you'll be on medication for your entire life. But it's important to know that there's no one size fits all treatment option, and there's more treatment than going to the hospital and being medicated all your life. There's also a support system that I felt in my area. I felt support of others, not only providers, but peers, family, and friends. I think that's why it's important not to immediately assume that being hospitalized is the only way out of having symptoms of psychosis.
Here in my corner of the world, I think we are very vulnerable and we are very marginalized, our psychosis community. So I think a way that we can transform the environment is to trust more people with psychosis to be in positions of power. And I don't mean this has to be on a super grand scale. I mean, you don't have to go elect the Prime Minister of Canada as someone with schizophrenia, right? But I think putting your trust in people with psychosis to be your teachers, your lawyers, your instructors, I think that's very important because people with schizophrenia, we are capable and we can do the jobs just as well as anyone else can. So that's my closing statement. I am going to get going, but thank you, SWP, for having me, and it was nice to see you all.